Hi, everyone, and welcome to LIT, Learn, Inspire, Transcend. Today, we are reflecting on life's transformative experiences and how it shapes our lives. My guest today is all the things. She's a Hometown Media Award winner for Best TV Host and producer of a community impact show called Healthy Living in the Bronx. She's also a digital content creator and a very dear friend of mine. Welcome, Mary Vin Rose.
Yay! I'm so happy to be here. You have no idea. Like, my face is going to be hurting. I have a feeling my mascara might run off at the end of this, all the things. But I'm so happy to be here. And I'm so glad you're doing this because I always tell you this, you just have a natural way of telling stories and getting to the depth of a story in such a beautiful way. But yes, I'm ready.
Thank you for pushing me to do this as well, because you know how I kept going back and forth with you and how I wanted to do it. Maybe I'm going to do something else, and you just kept me focused on, no, Taina, you're going to do it, and you're going to get this done.
Get it done. Like Nike, just do it.
Just do it. I appreciate you so much. So thanks for taking the time today to chat with me and share your journey and your wisdom with us.
Yay.
So, we're talking about transformative experiences and how it shapes us. And you know that no one is exempt from the challenges that life has to offer us. And while it can be difficult to navigate our relationships, grief, finances, and maintaining our health and wellness, there's also a rewarding aspect to it. And that's growth. Right. So I sometimes tend to isolate myself when I'm facing challenges, and I'm not sure if that stems from being an only child and learning to cope on my own. Sometimes I journal, and there's times that I just cry. I cry it out. How have you navigated through the challenges you faced in life so far? And in what ways have those experiences changed you, good and bad?
That's such a broad question, right?
I know.
You've known me for I don't know how many years it's been now. And I think I lost track, right? It has to be at least 6 years. And in those 6, I would say even within 5 years, so much has happened to me. So much heartbreak, so much transitioning, so much pivoting. Every situation required something different of me, which I'm really glad about. I think in my 30-something years, I have 6 different lives. I really feel that way.
Yes.
So every situation caused me to move differently. So I would say prior to having a really big relationship breakup, I was also very much a self-isolator. I was also very much no one could really help me. No one really knows what I'm going through. So why bother? And on top of that, I had a thing that I learned that I don't like feeling like a burden to people. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because, talking through therapy, like in my childhood, I'm the youngest child, but I was the child who had 2 older siblings who caused a lot of stress on my mom in particular, like both my parents, but specifically my mom. And I just didn't want to stress her out. I didn't want to be a stressor. So I did everything in the world and in my power to kind of like self-soothe so I wouldn't lean on other people.
Right.
But then when that major breakup happened, I guess the friends that I had cultivated up until that point, they didn't accept the isolation, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like they were respectful. Like if I said, no, I'm good, don't come over. Like they respected that enough, but they were still texting me. They were still calling me. Until one day, one of my best friends was like, listen, we're going out to dinner. And I'm like, I just can't. And in that dinner, I was boo-hooing, which I've never done. I never cried publicly. And she was like, girl, I'm going to need you to remember who the F you are. Okay?
Yes.
It's good to cry. I'm so happy that you're crying because that means that you're processing it, you're releasing it. Yeah. But she was like, I want you to come with me to the bathroom. We went to the bathroom and she's like, look at how good you look. You don't look like anything you're experiencing and you need to remember that. And it was in that moment that I realized vulnerability can actually strengthen your relationships with people. Granted, I still don't believe you should trust your vulnerability with everybody, but with time and consistency and with people that show up, it's okay to be vulnerable. And one of the best things that came out of that breakup was that I cultivated a very strong tribe of women around me.
Yes.
That made me go, okay, there are people I can trust. And when I say that was a romantic breakup I was talking about in that specific example. But also prior to that, I had a very bad friendship breakup, which made me not trust women as much as I used to in the past. I've always been a girl's girl. You know that I'm such a girl's girl.
Yes.
But that friendship breakup also led me to go, dang, this person that I thought was like super cared about me and really, you know, I had in my home, I've been in their home, like in my mind, they would be the godmother of my children. To have a betrayal happen and that magnitude did cause me to look at friendship and trust very differently. And then obviously the most recent one, the 180 of anyone's life, the loss of a parent. Anyone that's going through the loss of a parent.
Yes.
I get it. Everyone handles it very differently. But the one thing I'm so proud of that I did that a lot of other people told me not to do is I took time off of work. I applied for my FMLA. I got my doctor's note. And I'm like, I cannot function.
Good for you.
And the truth is, at the time I applied for it, that wasn't necessarily the case because I was doing all the things. I was doing the funeral, I was doing the memorial service. So I was on go, go, go. So you wouldn't know that I was experiencing. But I knew that the moment I signed that last document and she was in the ground and we were done with the memorial service, I just knew I was going to shut down. So I gave myself that time. And I was very honest about what I was experiencing.
Sisterhood is so important to have that support. And like you said, to be vulnerable with people that you trust with that vulnerability. There's been changes too that I've faced in life that have been a catalyst for evolution, right? But I also think it's important to not get stuck in that place of despair. Oh yeah. You know, because it's so easy to say, you know, my life is falling apart. Let me, you know, you can make some really bad choices when that happens.
Oh yeah. Everything is temporary.
Right. How have you handled that with such grace?
So each one was something different, but the core of all of the different stages was I got back to basics. And basics for me are three big things. The first thing is God, right? I'm very strong into my faith.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, okay, God, you and me, like what you want me to do? The second thing was, especially if anyone's going through like severe depression, if you cannot eat, because I'm that person that when I'm like, some people binge, I'm the opposite. I don't eat.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
I can't eat. I don't, I literally, like I want to, like I really want to, like I'd be hungry. I'm like, I'm hungry. I want to eat. Like I'm not that person who don't like food either.
No, Mary can eat. She's a foodie. Okay.
I love me some food. But so I have to drink juices. I've learned that has been a really good balance for me. And I don't beat up on myself. I don't go, oh my God, you can't eat. I'm so sick of you. Because I think sometimes we can get into that negative health talk. Absolutely. And I go, I'm like, you know what? You don't feel like eating. You just can't. So what juices can we make? I have a really good juicer. And there's like a spot not too far from me that makes really good juices. I focus primarily on greens. I know it's going to give me the nutritional value that I need to function through the day.
Right.
Third thing I do for me is movement. And the two forms of movement that always helps me is dance. As you know, I love to dance. I forced myself into dance class. And if that worked between my breakups, but that didn't work actually in the grief of my mom. I didn't want to be around people for the first couple of months. So I had to dance in my house, turn the lights off. I put my little Wi-Fi speaker on. And I just would play songs that would remind me of me and her dancing in our living room because my mom was also a big time dancer. You know, her old school R&B, her old school jazz, like, you know, just Motown, you name it. That's what I did. And then yoga really does challenge the mind.
It does.
It challenges the body. It makes me surrender and ground myself. So whatever your basics are, like look back to your life. I say look back to when you were before the labels.
Right.
Look back to who you were before you were a sister, cousin, auntie, mother, friend, spouse, CEO, a secretary, whatever your job title is, like
connect with
your lawyer. I always thank God in the morning for my mind. That's the first thing I thank for. I'm like, thank you for waking me up and keeping me with a sound mind. And then I also ask God to protect my mind and my heart every day. And I always say my heart too. And I mean both my spiritual heart and my physical heart. Like women have a lot of heart disease in this country. Yes. So it's really important that we're staying on top of our heart health. but I'm also like my emotional heart. I'm like, God, you know I'm sensitive. So like those little mantras, and they're little from the standpoint that they take seconds, but they're huge.
Right. Huge
Find
impact.
your mantras, find your models, find your affirmations.
Gratitude.
Yes, like I say grace, and people who are not whatever background they are, they're like, why do you say grace? I'm like, it's just a moment of thankfulness.
Absolutely. You don't wait for Thanksgiving to give thanks. Hello.
That's right.
Thing.
Make sure that's a tweetable.
When you're happy with what you have and you're grateful about it.
And when you get more, you're like, oh wow, more.
There's no lack. You don't feel lack.
Oh yeah. Then that's why even in all the heartbreaks that I experienced, that also helped me through is gratitude.
Yes.
You know, I am still a bit angry about how my mom was taken from this earth, but I am grateful for the time I did have with her. I understand now more than ever, talking to a lot of people, especially women. A lot of people don't have good relationships with their mother. My mama was my best friend. Yeah. So I was fortunate to have that relationship. Like we did girls trips, as you know, we hung out a lot. So that I'm glad I had that. And like even my past relationships, although I may not talk to any of those people anymore, most of them, I'm grateful for those relationships.
Right.
Because they all brought something out of me that I needed. Society tells us, like your parents, for example, your mom is supposed to be your first protector, your first love of your life, all those things. And I am grateful that I actually had that. But I'm learning a lot of people don't. I've actually learned that my relationship with my siblings is actually not uncommon. A lot of people don't have good relationship with their biological siblings.
Right.
And me, once I put the expectations of them away, like you're my sister, you're my brother, you're supposed to love me. Like you're my older sibling, you're supposed to protect me, you're supposed to look out for me. Once I got rid of that, I said, you know what? I'm going to accept you for who you are.
Period. Yep.
You were someone who was a negative, I don't like using the term negative Nancy, but you're negative. You say a lot of not nice things. You're very gossipy. I know you have some childhood trauma you need to. There's a lot of things going on with you. Right. I'm not here to speak for yourself. So I'm just going to say you got lots going on.
You got to work on that. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the thing. And I told the elder person this, I love them so much. I release them from the stereotypes that society has of them for being my older siblings.
Wow.
That's how much I love them. I love them so much that I want them to find the healing and the stuff that they need to find for themselves. I wanted nothing but love from my sister. Nothing but for anyone that I've ever interacted with. Right. You know that about me. I'm a lover. Like I want to see people win.
Absolutely.
And learning when someone else doesn't want to see themselves win,
I can't help. I can't help you. And I can't get caught up in what you need to do for yourself. Because I think, and it's funny because it also goes back to a little bit of what I was speaking with Carolyn about, another person that I
know Carolyn.
Yeah, Carolyn. Oh, you know Carolyn. That's right. Everybody's digital. So, she was saying how things that we carry actually give us physical ailments.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know? So
I feel lighter. I feel more peaceful.
Right. You don't put their weight on top of you because you need them to change and you need them to act a certain way for you. No, if that's how you're going to be, then I'm going to leave you there. And
I love you.
And I love you. That's
no
it.
Love lost.
I'll pray for you.
Yeah, there's no love lost. And again, the good thing about me is that I don't believe that, I feel like as long as we have breath in our bodies, anything is possible. I don't look at any past relationship to myself and think, oh my God, we're never going to ever talk ever again.
Right.
My mindset is if we never do, I'm okay with that. There's peace about it. And if we do, because the stars align, God deemed it so, the universe is, it's like, let it be, then so it shall be. But I'm not going to pressure myself. I think I heard a pastor say something like, just because I've forgiven it doesn't mean it's fixable.
Right.
Like, what it means is like, the vase has been broken. You done broke it. You done broke it. We could crazy glue this bad boy and still put it up, but you're not gonna hold the same spot. You're not gonna be in the center of the wardrobe or whatever, the bookcase like you once were. Like, no.
True. It's so true. You start to do yourself what is it?
Service, yeah, disservice.
Yeah.
Yourself. It's not loving on yourself. And I also realized that in brokenness, it could even be more beautiful. Like the broken vase with all its broken pieces, you can create something even more beautiful out of it later on.
Right.
It depends on what you want to do with it. For me personally, I don't want the broken vase, right? I can't see myself transforming it. Like it's not, no.
Right.
So until I feel like it's genuine and I feel like you genuinely love me, you can own to your mistakes, that we can come to the table and we could both take accountability. Because I'm also someone, I've had to be the opposite. I've had to learn to not say sorry.
Right.
I hate conflict so much. I'm that person who's so quick to say sorry. I learned that in one of my friendships where I was like, sorry all the time. Like they're upset. I'm like, oh my God, sorry. Like, what did I do? What did I say? Like, let me know so I can fix it.
People pleasing.
Yeah, I have that's another thing that grief actually, in a weird way, has blessed me with. I can't people please anymore.
You know,
I physically can't. I can't worry if you're mad that I said no. I can't worry if you're mad that I didn't respond to a text fast enough. I can't worry if you feel like I'm being self-centered or whatever. I can't. I physically can't. Like I'm so hurt and like the way I describe some days of grief, it's like a wave hits you. And you're just waiting for the wave to pass so you can surface and you can float for air. That's how heavy grief is. So there's days like that. So if someone is in their feelings or they're mad at me or they're upset or
that's the new thing. Sorry, I can't deal right now.
And that's the thing. I would say that. I would say sorry. And now I don't say sorry. Why am I going to say sorry to you? I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry I took care of myself. I'm not sorry I got that extra hour of sleep. I'm not sorry that I canceled. I'm not sorry. Not sorry.
Right. No.
Now I am like, I feel bad that it disappointed you or it didn't meet your expectations.
Right.
But did I meet my expectations? Did I feel like I powered through the day? Do I feel like I did right by myself? Then I know my heart and I do right by people. And if I do cancel or something, I usually make it up to people in whatever way I feel the relationship needs.
Right.
But I'm not stressing myself about it.
You have said so many words today, girl.
that was a good one. The people pleasing. I didn't want to admit it, but I used to be a people pleaser.
You got to be very careful. They'll take advantage of you. And if you don't have boundaries and if you don't set standards for yourself, it's very true. So I hope people who are watching, you shouldn't feel bad for taking care of yourself.
Never. I'm really big on communication. Always have been. Yeah. So I don't want people to think that because you're going through grief that you should just ignore people. Like I don't just ignore people. Like I tell someone like, hey, I can't talk right now. I don't go into details anymore. I used to because people pleasing. Right. But I still try to communicate with people. Like if I'm like, as you mentioned, like I'm like, no, I'm okay. Just I need a moment. And I don't put timelines on it. I don't go, I'll talk to you in 3 months. No. Whenever my moment is my moment. Right. So I think sometimes in this generation, people tend to ghost their friends and family and they use it under the umbrella of grief or they're just going through life and they expect to just circle back around like nothing happened.
Right. There is a courtesy that comes with it, of course. There is the communication aspect. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I don't want no one listening to this and be like, oh yeah, like she's like, F those people and their feelings. Take care of yourself. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have a whole bunch of people like just not communicating. No, we don't want that.
No, definitely communicate, but also
know when it's enough. Know when it's enough.
That's the part. It's the communication and being like, okay, I communicated, and then the person's still following up with more. I had a situation like that not too long ago, actually, where someone threatened not to be my friend anymore because I told them in advance I wouldn't make it someplace, and they felt like my reason wasn't good enough.
That's the thing with friendships and relationships in general. Yeah. People are going to evolve. We are going to change.
Yes.
We're growing. We're both growing. So, that has to be understood as well. I'm not going to always be the same person.
Yeah.
A year from now or 2 years, I'm just not.
You know what I realized also? Yeah. The other aha was like, I remember thinking, this person changed so much. The truth is, they didn't. They weren't growing. It was
Right.
me. I was the person he evolved. I was the person, and I don't like using the term like I outgrew the relationship. It was more or less, I just grew differently. I became more heart-centered. The things that we were doing just didn't align with me anymore.
Right.
And
Right.
then I realized like it was rude of me to put all this pressure on this other person thinking that they've done something drastically different than who they've always been. They've always been this way. It was me. And that goes with my family too. Like I'm thinking about like multiple relationships, not specific to one. It's like multiple relationships where I realized it was me. I was the one who evolved. I was the one who changed, where I was the one who wasn't responding to text messages back in 3:00 in the morning. And I could see how from their perspective, they think, oh, she switched up on me and she thinks she's too good for me. Obviously, they're creating a story in their head. Right. But I can understand now from their perspective why they would look at me and think I'm the one who like messed up the dynamic of our relationship. Because in a weird way, I kind of did change the dynamic because I've become different. Right. And in my mind, I didn't, because I feel like this was always in me. I just didn't speak up about it. So when you think to yourself, dang, I didn't do anything, you might have. But it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. There's something to change the course of the feeling of the relationship.
Sometimes you can be influenced by your friends, right? You could be influenced in certain situations. And, you know, when it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel like, yo, that's not who I am. And that's not what I want to be around. That's not what I do. How do you deal with friends that just, you know, you click in some ways, but then there's some ways where it's just like, it just doesn't work.
I call it the repositioning, right? Like I don't look at my friends like tiers. You know, some people like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. For me, I look at my friends more like circles. Circles. And it's not like a center circle, outer circle. It's like just different circles. Like I'm the center of my little bubble and these are my circles, right? And I tell myself, I be very honest with myself, what I think my friends' capabilities are. I think again, it's just about accepting people for who they are and not trying to change them, and realizing also, because I'm a service-based person, how can I service them as well? Right. If I feel like who I naturally am and how I naturally show up in the world is not going to service them or not going to help them in any way, if it's only going to trigger them, it's only going to irritate them, then that's when I go, okay, I can't be as close of a circle to this person. My little circle and their little circle cannot touch very often because it's going to be something.
Explosive. Right.
Right? The only time, so for me, it's like deciding if the person is seasonal or we're just in a different season. That's been the biggest game changer. Like, how do you know your friendship is in a different season versus when it's seasonal? And I know it's seasonal for me when I can't be my authentic self. Right. And that authentic self of who I am currently. Not who I was, because I was authentic 3 years ago. Right. If that authenticity has evolved, then if I walk away from this and I'm like even now, like I know when I walk away from this podcast, I'm gonna be like, oh, I just love Ty. I gotta find a way to spend time with Ty. I love Ty. You know, that's how I know. Like we don't talk every day. Right. I don't think we talk once a month, but like I still get this feeling of like, oh, it just gets what it needs to get. Yeah, it's there. And then there's other people where I'm like, you be around for 2-3 hours and I'm like, okay, I'm exhausted.
Drained. Yes.
Yes. Yes. And if I see that they want more from me, I realize that this relationship has now been seasonal. Like I again, it's not even about what they can do for me. It's what I can do for them. I cannot help them anymore. I cannot be in collaboration or partnership with them because they're not going to get the best version of me because they're not allowing my well to be filled with goodness. Like it's just not, I'm not rested or relaxed with them. And so that's how I know if it's a seasonal relationship. We did what we needed to do and we need to part ways. And maybe it's forever or maybe it's just for the next 10 years, but it's going to be a long time. Right. And then I know our relationship is in a different season where it's something like this, where like, let's say I had someone I'm talking to consistently, almost like every other day, which I don't think I have any friends like that, but like I have one friend in particular I talk to like once a week. Like we have a timeline. We know when we're going to hit each other up. Like it's kind of consistent. But right now, because of everything I got going on in my life and everything she got going on in her life, we haven't been as consistent. But I just spoke to her the other day. I'm like, oh my God, we got to go back to our weekly calls. I miss you.
Those are the best.
That's how you know. I'm like, oh, I can't take this season personal because we're just in different seasons right now. But when I'm around
that doesn't mean you're a bad person. That doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It's just at this time.
It's about alignment. That's why I said I don't like using the term outgrow. I think it's about alignment. We were in alignment and we're now out of alignment. And maybe one day we'll be realigned. But right now we're not in alignment. Who you are and what you're doing. Because it's not just who the person is. Sometimes it's what the person does. Like that just doesn't, like their line of business, what they do.
This topic has so many different aspects to it because right now we kind of steered into friendship, but there's finances. There's,
know your worth and add tax.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to have you back.
Yeah. We'll talk about the career, the plan is like, you can't go.
Yeah.
No, it's not over.
This is not over because I really enjoyed. This is one of the topics I really enjoy because this is something that everyone can relate to. Transformative experiences in our lives. And, it's good. People, especially the younger generation, sometimes they need guidance. They need to see how, we deal with relationships and you're not the only one in that boat. So here's how you can navigate through that as well. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much again for taking the time today to speak with me. And of course, this is not going to be the last time because you have a lot to share. You have a lot to share. And I love our dynamic as friends. And,
and business, you can do friends and business with people, certain people. And it doesn't happen often.
Right.
Like we technically met in a business arrangement.
We did.
And I met a lot of people that day in that business arrangement, but how many friends did I walk away with?
Me.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point. That's what I'm saying. Like not every single person you interact with in those professional settings are meant to become friend/family. Right. And not everyone that's friend/family you need to do business with. Just saying.
It's true.
We can talk about the friendship business because I have a lot to talk about that too. Because I've had a lot of business partners and business contracts and stuff. So there's a lot of nuggets there too. How to protect yourself as a creative entrepreneur.
That part.
Those things.
All right, Mama. So again, thank you so much. And we're going to be chatting again. And I hope everyone enjoyed today's chat and leave comments. You know what to do. Subscribe, like.
Do all the things. This woman is amazing.
Aww,
anything that says Taina.